Diane was so afraid of dying that she avoided everything that could help her live. She skipped doctor appointments because she didn't want bad news, avoided exercise because it reminded her of mortality, ignored symptoms because acknowledging them felt like giving up. Her paradox shows how death anxiety becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you avoid dealing with health, the more likely you are to lose it. Diane's breakthrough came when she realized that facing mortality was the key to defeating it. See, we think avoiding health issues protects us from them. We think if we don't go to the doctor, we won't get sick. If we don't step on the scale, we haven't gained weight. If we don't talk about family medical history, it won't affect us. But what I learned from Diane's story is that health denial doesn't prevent disease. It just ensures you'll face it unprepared. Diane spent 3 years running from her health reality, thinking she was preserving her peace of mind. But the anxiety of avoiding the truth was destroying her quality of life more than facing the truth ever could. Let me tell you about Diane Williams from Atlanta. She's 52 years old, works as a high school administrator, married to James for 24 years, mother to 2 adult children, Marcus 26 and Keisha 23. But Diane's story really starts with her family's medical history. Diane's father, Robert, died of a massive heart attack at 59. Her mother, Joyce, has been managing type 2 diabetes for 15 years, dealing with complications that include neuropathy and vision problems. Her older brother, Michael, had triple bypass surgery at 48. Her younger sister, Lisa, was diagnosed with high blood pressure at 35. My family reunion looks like a medical conference, Diane tells me. Heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke. We've got every chronic condition you can name, but somehow I convinced myself I was going to be different. Diane describes how she developed what she calls genetic denial. The belief that family medical history happens to other people, even when those people are your immediate relatives. I told myself that my father smoked, so his heart attack didn't count. My mother ate terribly, so her diabetes was her fault. My brother was overweight, so his surgery was preventable. I always found reasons why their health problems wouldn't apply to me, but deep down, Diane was terrified. She knew the statistics, understood genetic predisposition, and recognized that her lifestyle wasn't protecting her from her family's medical legacy. The fear was constant, Diane admits. Every chest pain made me think heart attack. Every time I felt tired, I worried about diabetes. But instead of doing something about it, I just tried not to think about it. Diane's health anxiety created a paradoxical pattern. The more afraid she became of dying, the more she avoided everything that could help her live healthier. I stopped going to the doctor because I was afraid of what they might find, Diane explains. My last physical was 3 years ago, and the doctor had started talking about pre-diabetes and blood pressure concerns. I walked out thinking I can't handle this right now. Diane avoided exercise because physical activity reminded her of mortality. When I got out of breath climbing stairs, I thought about my father's heart attack. When my joints ached after walking, I imagined myself declining like my mother. Exercise felt like confronting my own death sentence. She ignored symptoms that would have sent most people to the doctor: persistent fatigue, frequent headaches, occasional chest tightness, vision changes, and unexplained mood swings. I told myself everything was stress-related, Diane says. Work stress, family stress, life stress. I convinced myself that if I could just reduce stress, all my symptoms would disappear. Diane also avoided health-related conversations with family and friends. When coworkers discussed their fitness routines, she changed the subject. When her children asked about family medical history for their own doctor visits, she gave vague answers. I thought that not talking about health problems would make them less real. Like if I didn't acknowledge the risks, they couldn't hurt me. The wake-up call came during Keisha's wedding weekend. Diane had been feeling unusually tired and stressed, but attributed it to wedding planning pressure. During the reception, while dancing with her new son-in-law, Diane suddenly felt dizzy, short of breath, and experienced chest pressure. She excused herself to the bathroom, sat on the floor, and tried to breathe through what she convinced herself was anxiety. I was sitting on the bathroom floor at my daughter's wedding, wondering if I was having a heart attack. And my first thought wasn't get help, it was don't ruin Keisha's day, Diane recalls. James found her 20 minutes later, pale and shaky. Against Diane's protests, he insisted they go to the emergency room. The ER diagnosis was a wake-up call. Blood pressure 180/110, dangerously high, blood sugar 240, diabetic range, and EKG changes suggesting heart strain. Diane wasn't having a heart attack, but she was well on her way to one. The doctor looked at me and said, "Mrs. Williams, you're a medical emergency waiting to happen. Your body is screaming for help, and you've been ignoring it for years." The scariest moment came when the doctor asked about her family history. As Diane listed her relatives' conditions, she realized she was following the exact same path that had killed her father and disabled her mother. That night, from her hospital bed, Diane called me. When Diane called me, I heard something I recognized, the voice of someone who had been running from their own life. "Diane," I told her, "you've been so afraid of dying that you forgot to live. Health anxiety isn't protecting you from disease. It's preventing you from preventing disease." I shared with her something I learned from my own health journey. The fear of mortality can either paralyze you or empower you. When you avoid dealing with health, fear controls your life. When you face health proactively, you control your life. But I also understood her terror. You've watched disease destroy your family, and you're terrified it's going to destroy you too. But here's what you need to understand. Knowledge is power, and action is protection. Ignoring your risks doesn't eliminate them. I explained to Diane the difference between health anxiety and health awareness. Health anxiety focuses on what might happen and avoids taking action. Health awareness acknowledges what might happen and takes action to prevent it. Diane asked me how she could possibly face her genetic destiny without becoming overwhelmed by fear. I told her, "You're not facing a destiny, you're facing a challenge. Your family history gives you information, not a predetermined outcome. What you do with that information determines your health future." Over the next 3 months, Diane and I worked together on what I call proactive health management, transforming health anxiety into health empowerment. First, we reframed her family medical history from curse to advantage. You know what health challenges run in your family, which means you can prepare for them, prevent them, or catch them early. Most people don't have that genetic roadmap. Diane started viewing her family history as valuable health intelligence rather than inevitable doom. Second, we established regular health monitoring as empowerment, not surrender. Going to the doctor isn't admitting defeat, it's taking control. Every test, every checkup, every health metric is information you can use to protect yourself. Diane committed to quarterly doctor visits, regular blood work, and honest communication with her healthcare team about her symptoms and concerns. Third, we transformed her relationship with lifestyle changes. Exercise isn't a reminder of mortality. It's a celebration of what your body can do. Healthy eating isn't restriction. It's fuel for the life you want to live. 6 months after her hospital wake-up call, Diane achieved something she never thought possible. She felt empowered by her health knowledge instead of terrorized by it. "I started seeing my doctor every 3 months instead of avoiding appointments," Diane says. "Every test result became information I could act on rather than news I was afraid to hear." The breakthrough came when Diane's blood work showed improvement. Her blood sugar had dropped to pre-diabetic levels. Her blood pressure was controlled with medication and lifestyle changes, and her cholesterol had improved significantly. That's when I realized that facing my health fears had given me power over them. I wasn't just preventing disease, I was actively building health. Within a year, Diane had lost 35 pounds through sustainable diet changes, established a regular exercise routine she actually enjoyed, brought her blood sugar into normal range, controlled her blood pressure without increasing medication, completed her first 5K run at age 53, became a health advocate in her family. The transformation extended beyond physical health. Diane's marriage improved as she stopped avoiding health-related conversations. Her relationship with her children deepened as she became honest about family medical history while modeling proactive health management. What Diane taught me through her health transformation is that facing mortality is the first step to defeating it. Here's what every person dealing with health anxiety needs to know. First, avoiding health information doesn't protect you from health problems. It just ensures you'll face them unprepared. Knowledge is power, and early detection saves lives. Second, family medical history is information, not destiny. Genetics load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. You can't change your genes, but you can change how they express themselves. Third, health anxiety often creates the very problems it fears. Stress from avoiding health care can worsen the conditions you're trying to avoid. Fourth, regular health monitoring reduces anxiety rather than increasing it. The unknown is always scarier than the known, even when the known requires action. Fifth, Lifestyle changes aren't about perfection. They're about progress. Small, consistent improvements create significant health benefits over time. Sixth, you can't control whether you'll face health challenges, but you can control how prepared you are when you face them. Proactive health management gives you options that reactive healthcare doesn't. Seventh, health empowerment comes from action, not avoidance. Every healthy choice you make is a vote for your future self. If you're avoiding healthcare because you're afraid of what you might find, remember what Diane learned. The scariest thing isn't facing your health reality. It's facing the consequences of avoiding it. Your family medical history isn't a death sentence. It's a warning system that can save your life if you use it wisely. Diane went from being terrified of her genetic risks to being empowered by her genetic knowledge. She went from avoiding healthcare to advocating for her health. She went from health anxiety to health mastery. Her father died at 59 from a heart attack he didn't see coming. Diane is 53, healthier than she's been in decades, and equipped with knowledge and habits that can help her live well into her 80s and beyond. That's not just health improvement, that's health transformation. Remember this, death anxiety becomes life empowerment when you channel fear into action. Your mortality isn't something to avoid thinking about. It's something to prepare for by living as healthily as possible for as long as possible. Diane learned what every person with health anxiety needs to learn. The best way to defeat your fear of dying is to commit to living well. Y'all remember that. Your health is your responsibility, your body is your temple, and your future is determined by the choices you make today, not the genes you inherited yesterday.